Well, folks, welcome back. We got another exciting match here at the third annual Steinway Classic being held here at Steinway Billiards in Astoria, Queens, New York. Another great match. Johnny Archer versus John Morra in a race to 9. And both players getting set to lag as we set up the background. Once again, this is a loser side match, so the loser will be eliminated out of the tournament. So looking forward to another great match as John Morra approaches the table for the opening break. We'd like to thank Simona's Cloth, Aramith Balls, Lacassi Q's, Gotham City Technologies, FA Clothing Line, Lacassi Q's. If I didn't mention them, I might have. I'm tired right now. The 3-ball finds its way into the corner. And we're off to the races. This is a co-production feed by AZB TV. Myself, that's Upstate Al, and the Predator Pro-Am Tour and NYC Grind. Allison Fisher and Jerry Tarantolik jumping on board once again to co-produce this. John Morra just defeated Shane Van Boening prior to this in a Hill match. Right on this table, and all matches are recorded. And all matches will be recorded for the Andy Cloth 14.1 World Tournament, World Straight Pool Tournament, coming up the 4th through the 9th. So right after this tournament is over tomorrow, Monday, all the other players, besides a lot of these pros that are in here, they all come into town for both tournaments back to back. We'll be shooting the 14.1 tournament. And we will be bringing you that pay-per-view also. And again, all the proceeds for the pay-per-view are going to Dragon Promotions. I have nothing to do with the pay-per-view monies whatsoever. Just on board to bring it all out there. I believe John Morra was the highest player in the players auction also at 1750. Didn't quite hit it as hard as he wanted to. He wanted to get a little straighter in on this, but now he's just got to hit it with a little reverse and roll it. Hold it for the 7. Johnny Archer just hits him with such ease. He makes the game look so easy. Looks like he's going to draw first blood here. And he does. Johnny Archer leads 1-0 over John Morra. azbilliards.com, the world's largest pool and billiards website. You can go there and browse the forums and do a lot of reading on the articles that they have on the website. And you can also become a member for free on azbilliards.com. Big shout out to Simona's Cloth, along with Aramis Bowls. The Kings of Vapor, there's a lot of patches running around on the players' backs that they do sponsor. The Kings of Vapor jumping on board. And also sponsoring Upstate Owl in the live stream. And of course, the Tap League. And Johnny is set to break game 2. Cue ball gets nudged right into the side pocket, but look at the 1-3-5. I don't believe there's a shot on the 1, so you're going to see John feather this 1 ball and bring the cue ball down, probably behind the 2-9 area, and lock Johnny up that way. And just push the 1 between the rail and the 3. And the 1 is not frozen, so he will catch the bump on the rail, making it a legal shot. Now he definitely wants to hide the cue ball because the 1 could wind up wired into the side pocket off the 3, and he doesn't want to leave Johnny a kick into it. So you got to duck this cue ball. Doesn't wind up wired. And came out really, really well. John Morra makes motion for a tournament director to come watch the hit. We're probably going to have a gentleman sit in the booth with Upstate Owl. Mr. Eddie Medina is going to be stepping right back in as soon as he gets comfortable, and it looks like he's settled in here like a camper in a campground. Eddie, welcome aboard.
Thanks, John. Thanks.
Anytime.
What's going on here?
Well, we got a loser side match now. The winner will move on, and the loser will be defeated out of the tournament and eliminated. And I believe John Morra was the highest one that went in the players' auction for like $17.50.
Really?
How would you like to be the person that purchased John Morra? I think it was John Morra.
I thought that I actually thought that Van Boning went for $1,700.
Yeah, I think John Morra went for $17.50.
Wow.
Yeah. Jump kick into the 1, no hit. He hit the 3 ball first. Ball in hand from John Morra.
And that's a surprise.
Yeah, I believe so.
From Archer, because he's one of the best jumpers in the game. He's one of the first ones who actually, back in the late 90s, from the mid-90s when he was player of the decade, he always had a strong jump shot, if you remember.
Sammy Guzman, too.
Yes.
Did you know Sammy?
Yes.
Boy, oh boy, can that guy jump a ball.
Yes. Yes, he could, with accuracy.
Yes.
Yes.
Sammy Guzman was the first one I saw put a dollar bill between the ball that he was going to jump over and jump right over that ball. A dollar bill. Hold the dollar bill up, just leave that much room and just jump right over the ball. Pretty amazing, because I wasn't used to seeing the jump shots. And boy, when he got in a position where he had to play a jump shot, he played it, he drew the ball back. Like you said, the accuracy was right on the cash.
But here's the kicker. There were no jump cues back then, were there?
That's right. He was jumping with a full cue. You're absolutely right. You're right. Good point.
Yeah, that's the one thing I respect about him, Archer, Strickland. They've always, I mean, now, of course, they've all succumbed to the jump cue at one point or the other when they really have to get out of a tight spot. But I see Earl, who plays here at this room all the time.
Now, I believe Johnny's on 2 because he broke and he scratched. The cue ball got kicked into the side pocket off the 5. And John Morra played him safe. And he tried the jump kick, so that put him on 2. Yeah, and John Morra just motioned over to Johnny that you're on 2.
Wow.
So Johnny's got a kick out of this, being on 2.
And he hit the ball.
Wow. Pretty good, too.
Wow, look at that kick save. Wow. That was strong. Well, I don't know if you remember that epic match that's been on tape for years between Archer and Reyes, but he kicked out a few jams there, too. I mean, we've seen him do this over and over.
I love watching kick safes and safety battles. I really enjoy it.
Absolutely, because to the common fan, they don't understand the beauty and the art
of not only kicking, but kick safe.
Kick safing, absolutely. This isn't an easy kick to hold the cue ball there. The side pocket is looming on a scratch, so he's choosing to come up and down and try to hold it.
2 rails.
Yes.
And like you said, don't catch too much of the inside solid because you could fall in a drink. Yeah. Hit it on the outside.
Got a good roll. Banged into the 2. Didn't get exactly what he wanted out of it, but it's enough to keep Johnny honest. What do you think, Al? Is going to try to bank this or snooker him behind the 10?
Well, it's call shot, call safety, so he's going to snooker him.
Yeah, right behind the 10 ball. Well, leaked out a little bit, but
got the blocker up there for.
Absolutely.
Folks, I'm going to flash a poster in front of you because AZB TV and NYC Grind will be moving up there to Snookers in Providence, Rhode Island, August 30th through September 1st. 3 tours getting together for that one. It's going to be a big event. The return of the Eastern State Championships. As John Morra tries the Z shot into the 1 and hits the 2. Johnny with ball in hand. Johnny Archer with ball in hand. 2 Johns on the table. This is.
Yeah.
And the table to the adjacent side, we have Jeremy Sosi. I believe he's playing Jason Shaw.
Shaw, and the score is 1 apiece over there.
Yeah, we'll try to keep you updated on to that, and if we can, we'll swing the cameras over that way and give you a glance at that if players decide to take a break on the main table, or it should end before the other one.
Yeah,
I don't think it would end before the short match, but
yeah. And Jeremy Sosi just lost the nail biter to Warren Kiamko after beating Van Boning.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the score of that one?
Well, it was 9-7, but I mean, they were going at it. It was 1-1, 2-2 all the way through to 7-7.
Wow.
And so that was a nail biter. And by what I've seen, Al, all the matches here between these players have been unbelievably close.
Right. Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. I mean, we got the talent, the talent's here. It's like I said earlier, sometimes we think that the crowd is a tough crowd, that they're not applauding some of the good shots on the main table. But what happens is we got so much talent on different tables that the people are spread out all over the room.
Yeah.
So their eyes might be watching another match because
Correct.
there's so many great players there.
I mean, this is one of the strongest 64-man fields that I've seen in a while.
Right.
And I mean, actually looking at it, Al, looks stronger than last year's. Would you say?
Yes, and it's going to get stronger because there is another company, and this is rumor, but it's 99% true rumor. Another company will be getting on board next year for the Steinway Classic, and there should be about 14,000 added. I can't release the names yet because the press release hasn't been made, but I know the company, and I could just about guarantee you that's what they're going to do.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is going to grow even more.
I bet. Yeah. I bet them good Asian players from China and Japan are going to be here.
That would be nice to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, for a two-day event, you could come down here and you get, let's say next year you get 14,000 added, and you could win $8,000. You know what I mean? For a weekend, yeah, I would have to say that there will be players jumping on planes.
Yeah, well, you can win $8,000, and the thing about it is the way this year's Calcutta went. You might win $8,000 in first place in Calcutta money. I mean, this year first place for the Calcutta is 4,500.
Yeah, the total was for the players auction was 9,600 collected.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a nice Calcutta, and it's going to grow. And my ace in the hole is bringing me an iced tea. Thank you so much.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, if this company comes on board like
you can call me Al.
Al, I'm sorry.
Because that's two Johns out there.
I'm like,
just call me upstate.
Yeah, Al, sorry.
That's okay.
If this company comes on board next year,
yeah,
like you say, and they're going to add this kind of money, it wouldn't surprise me for Manny and his staff here to pull out a 3-day stop with a 128-man field. And it wouldn't surprise me with that kind of added that he may not himself add money because Manny's a terrific owner.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he contributes a lot to the game. And, they get a 128-man field. Then you're going to see, for a change, some decent money for some of these top players to go after.
To make it a 3-day event, I would have to agree. If they start pulling players from the Philippines and China and stuff, they would have to go into the second bracket and definitely go up to 128-man field.
Yeah.
So Steinway once again doing it here in the metro area of New York City. If you have an opportunity or a chance and you're on vacation or whatever the case may be and you happen to be in the metro area of New York, you definitely want to punch in Steinway Billiards into your GPS and come by this room and sweat the action that's in here.
Sweat the action. They have 2 strong weekly house tournaments, a handicap single elimination tournament on Monday nights. They have an open tournament, double elimination on Wednesday nights, where you can just come in off the street, put in your tournament fee, and play somebody like Earl Strickland or Zion Z or any one of these strong contingent of players that play out of here. If you really want to toughen up your game, this is the place to come and play.
Or you can actually come here and take lessons from Earl Strickland. It's $75 an hour, minimum of 2 hours, and you're going to get your money's worth. I can tell you that much. I personally know a couple of people that did come over from Europe just to get some lessons from Earl Strickland, and they're satisfied and happy. In fact, I see many threads and posts that they've been making. 5-time world champion, 5-time U.S. Open champion, and the way Earl teaches people, it's I emphasize it quite often. It's a sight you got to see or experience because he gets into full detail. He lets you shoot and he diagnoses every part of your stance and your bridge and the way you shoot on the rail and off the rail. And he doesn't correct it unless he sees something that's at fault.
Yeah.
You know?
And then if he still sees, I've seen him take a player that was really good that came to him for lessons. I don't want to say the guy's name because he didn't want to, you know, he doesn't want to know that Earl's teaching him. But, you know, he takes this player and this player can run out, but he actually refines his patterns.
Right.
He refines the way he can get out a simpler way.
Yeah.
And with less effort. And, you know, I've seen this guy actually bring people's speed up at least 2 balls in a matter of weeks.
Well, you know, we had opportunities, and we had Earl in the booth several times, and it's always an honor to have Earl in. And Earl says, look, Al, he says, when you're commentating, he says, cover all your bases. Say he might do this, and say he might do that, and say he might do this. This way you can never be wrong. He don't like being wrong. He'll sit here and tell him every shot. And Earl's the type of guy to look at the table, getting back to the patterns, and he doesn't see one pattern, you know what I mean? He might be some kind of autistic person and just see numbers and angles.
Yes.
And he does see several patterns, and I'm sure a bunch of us do. But he sees the ones that are going to get him to the finish line, you know, and that's what makes him a champion.
Well, the thing that I've never heard over time that people never spoke about, never mind his ability to play 9-ball, and arguably even to Efren Reyes, Earl's the best 9-ball player the planet has ever had.
Right.
When Earl was younger, and he's still close to it, he had 20/15 vision. So I mean, he could see a ball that was just a hair off, and nobody thought he could hit it, and you know, just nip it. And
he took a shot last night. Well, yesterday afternoon he was practicing straight pull, you know, because straight pull event's coming up next.
Okay.
And he was practicing, and before this tournament started. And Shane was sitting right next to him in a chair, you know, and he was explaining shots to Shane, and a shot came up. It was like one of those long angle shots where you know you got it's a hard angle cut shot up the rail. And Earl says, you know what? He says a lot of players will be scared of this shot. He says, but for me to get to that 15 and 12 ball, which was on a short rail down below, he says, I got to take this shot. A lot of players won't take the shot. They'll just try to pit-pat the 15 out of there. He says, this is the shot you got to play. And he, after that, he shot it. And Shane was like in awe. I couldn't believe that he got in the perfect position for the 15 and the 12 down at the short rail like that. Shane was, his jaw dropped, like, wow. And these are the two guys that are going to represent the United States, Earl and Shane. They're going in as a team for USA.
Well, speaking of teams, Al, this guy in the Midwest, his name doesn't come to mind. He's a captain this year of the team. He's a BCA instructor.
Mark Wilson?
Mark Wilson. Well, I know this up-and-coming young gentleman from Singapore. I won't say his name because he goes to school out in the Midwest. He gets, you know, scholarship for pool.
Right.
And he's an up-and-coming player. And I mean, just to give you the short version of it, I brought him here because he was here for the holidays.
Okay.
And he comes here on table 10 on the on the Monday night tournament. And he wins his first match. And then plays his second match, and he's playing his idol. His idol has always been Earl Strickland. Earl Strickland wins the toss.
Exhibition time?
Well, runs a 3-pack, runs 3 racks,
right.
Scratches on the 4th, set over.
Wow.
And Earl says to me, where did you get this kid from, Eddie? I said, the kid's got talent. The kid broke every rack he broke. Cue ball was dead center table.
Wow.
He was out 7 racks in a row. And he told Earl, he says, "I'm sorry, but I was scared to miss against you."
Well, he spoke the truth. I would have to agree. There's not many people that wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive there.
And so getting back to the Mark Wilson thing, Mark Wilson's got a great idea, because this is who brought this kid over from Singapore to the United States. And Mark Wilson is trying to get back to a team concept. It's not all about me. It's about team.
Right.
Because when you look at how strong the Europeans have gotten with this team thing in the Moscone Cup, they've always played as a team.
Yeah,
and now,
well-oiled machine. That's
absolutely.
the way they look. Absolutely. I have to agree.
And this is Mark Wilson's thing now, that he wants to get us back on the map.
Yes.
And I think he's got a great idea, and
I like the concept that they made arrangements to take the young guns now in the Moscone Cup to a SEAL training camp.
Correct. Correct.
And Jeremy Sosi was in the booth before when he defeated Shane Van Boning. And what I got out of that, I said to him, was like everybody working as a union, like pulling everybody together as a team. And that's basically what he said. He said that's what it was all about, putting us together as one instead of being individuals, a whole team in total. So John Morra gets on the board. We now have a score of 2-1 in favor of the Scorpion. And I just want to mention the gentleman in the booth sitting in the co-pilot seat, or the pilot. He can actually take the helm. This gentleman here, Eddie Medina, in case you're wondering who's sitting in the booth. And Eddie has a lot to do with a lot of cue sticks, and some beautiful cue sticks, by the way. Price ranges from astronomical to economical. And people can get in touch with you, Eddie.
Yes, they can. They can email me at fast9balleddie@optonline.net.
There you go.
And I never really keep a big stock of cues, because my belief when I started selling cues and trading cues and doing stuff like that is to give a player a player's cue. I try to stay away from, and don't get me wrong, some cue makers make some beautiful things, but I try to stay away from the collectibles. I try to get players' cues, people the cues that actually play well. And then, as everybody knows, I know about shaft woods and deflection and this and that. So, and my information is free.
There you go.
Whether you buy something from me or not, you're welcome to get in touch with me, and if I can help you in any way, I do. And when it comes to professional players and players coming up, I'm about trying to help them get better.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, And I hear it quite often in our pool world, Dan, where people want to share the knowledge and pass it along and help one another. I like that.
Well, I'll tell you, it's as I told John Morra earlier this evening, and I spoke to a couple other players that, I'm beginning to get to know a little better, because these are young guns coming up. This is the future of our sport. That if you ever need anything, you can call me. And of course, I can't get it for free, but I'm not going to make anything off you. Whatever it costs me, it's going to cost you, and I'm just doing it to help further your career.
Beautiful.
Because that's how dedicated I am to this sport.
So give them that email address once again, Eddie.
Yeah, that's fast9balleddie@optonline.net.
There you go.
And it might take me sometimes to get back to you, because sometimes I get mobbed with emails, but I will get back to you one way or the other.
There you go, folks. Don't take that with a grain of salt. You're listening to a man with a lot of experience.
Well, what I see so far in this match is John Morra is finally getting a little bit more comfortable. at the table, and he's getting a little bit more into the flow of things after having an epic hill battle with Shane. I mean, that was, you know, you're talking now, you beat the best 10-ball player in the world.
But you know what's scary? You know what scares me?
What's that?
You know, I look at Shane like you just said it. The best 10-ball player in the world. But yet when he goes overseas or somewhere in China, there's people in China.
Oh my God!
That just would
them two Chinese brothers that
Chong and Chang.
that they just took
Kopin.
they just took turns at him. They just took turns at him.
That's what's scary.
Yeah.
You know, I sat here last night, and it's not the first time I've seen Shane play, and it's not the first time probably a lot of us never seen him play because he's known all over the world. But, you know, I sat here last night and watched him give out tremendous weight in a game, and I'm not going to mention any names.
Of course.
But he gave out the world. And I can tell you one thing.
And the player he gave it to was a strong player.
95% of the people in this room would have bet against him.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And he wound up coming out on top.
Yeah.
And it was very, very impressive.
Absolutely.
And then to think that there's other players that are in other countries
even stronger than
that is scary.
Well, Al, I'm going to tell you something. You know, my wife, being of Asian descent, being from China herself, you know, I had the pleasure of going over there with her and, you know, visiting family and finding out what billiards is all about.
Yeah.
And over there, in a lot of schools, billiards is a curriculum.
Right.
It's a choice.
Right.
And you know, when you take classes over there, you take pool classes.
Right.
And you don't get out of class until you've run so many racks or hit so many balls.
Yeah.
And you know, this is why they're up and coming, because
John Morra called the upper right-hand corner. Go ahead, Eddie. I just wanted to let the audience know he called the upper right-hand corner, just in case he does make it.
Wow. Came off the rail just a little hard. He spun it a little bit too hard off the first rail.
I think putting pool into schools is a great idea, not only for the whole entire billiards industry, because now you don't only need a book bag, now you need a pool cue case,
right.
Pool cue, chalk, you know, and from all around, it's a win-win situation. And, you know, we do have sports that are in schools that really are not as popular. The kids are like, yeah, I don't want to do this, you know, and maybe we could find out where our next champions are coming from. You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden we got elementary school, and wow, you know, like this kid can really play pool, and now you got spotters like they do in college football saying, hey, going around and saying, who could we pick up for the next Moscone Cup team or whatever the case may be?
Well, as you know, we call them road agents.
Yes, road agents. Exactly.
They go on the road and they find this talent like me. I found this kid. Johnny just ran out the rack for a 3-1 lead.
Okay. I took my eye off that. After the miss by Mr. Morra
on the 8-ball.
Right,
on the 8-ball.
Yeah, we got so deep into conversation.
Yeah,
Let me tell you something. The last time this happened to me, when we get into deep conversation, Sean Morgan, Alaska, he was sitting in the booth.
Okay.
Well, no, it wasn't Sean. Wait, who was in the booth with me? Oh, it was Michael Fingers. Mike Baggett from Stupid.
Right.
And we were talking and talking. We were into this conversation. It was a straight pool match going on, and we were supposed to be calling. And a couple of balls were left over on the table because Sean Morgan ran out already. And we're surmising what he's going to do with this pattern. and all of a sudden we see Sean Morgan right here breaking down his cue. So excuse us. It's a good thing Eddie's paying attention.
Well,
but I like it.
That's why it came out, because somebody's got to keep you in line sometimes.
Yeah, you have to. You absolutely have to, you know. Sometimes I could veer off the road just a little bit because my eyes get kind of weary.
But getting back to this educational thing,
I like
Al,
that.
they, you know, they take that stuff seriously, and now they're going to have some matches over there, and I forgot the name of the city, and it's going to be held in a high school. It's a very prestigious event, and by what I read about it and what I know about it is they're going to have like 14,000 people at this school watching this, but they're going to stream to like a couple of million more. I mean, this is how strong the sport of billiards has grown over there in China.
You know, somebody, Julie Ha husband, her husband,
Right?
wants me to start networking into China.
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy wants me to
Right.
start networking into China. And I don't know the first step on how to get in touch with somebody that's out in China.
Well, you
to
could
actually
talk. You could actually.
mainstream it that way.
You could actually talk to John Barton, because his wife is from China.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And he still produces and makes his cases out there. By what I've spoken to him the last few times, he's looking to bring his kids here and raise them here. But at the same time, he still has his factory in China. So he would probably be a good source to contact on how to get going over
And the
there.
only reason I say that is because we do have a following in pool.
Correct.
Okay, in the U.S. But it tends to be the same people.
And
You understand?
Scorpion runs another rack after a Morra mistake.
Now
and he
you were
goes up
mentioning
4
I'm
to
sorry.
1.
Yeah, 4-1. But you were mentioning that it's so big out there in China and Japan and overseas that to get the audience that we need to move this up to a new level in the U.S., what I'm saying is we basically have the audience, but it tends to be the same people. We have to start putting our feelers out and getting a little further out into the world and networking. And I told Jimmy, I forgot his last name, thank you for mentioning it, Julie Ha's husband, that if he has anybody that he can possibly think of, and he says he has somebody in mind, and he's going to get back to me on that. But it's interesting, you know. I don't mind stretching out, and
Absolutely.
we're stretching out to people that are playing this game on a regular basis that are going to sit back and enjoy it. But there's more detail into it, though, as far as languaging. You know, all of a sudden you have to have, you know, if you're doing it into China, you know, you might have to have Chinese writing on a website or somebody that can speak Chinese in the booth with you, or, you know.
Right, or have some kind of telestrator
Translator. Yeah.
translating for you.
Right. Subtitle or something.
Right,
You know.
correct.
And that's technology. I'm sure it's available. Don't get me wrong. It's just the
Well, and it's
way
up
of doing it.
and really that's going to be up and coming. And like I said, getting back to this where we started this venture with getting back to Mark Wilson. He really wants a team concept. I mean, this guy wants us.
Oh, I feel it.
Wants these
I feel it.
these young guys. He wants them
Yeah.
to wear the same outfits.
Sure.
You know, not everybody wears this and wears that. And he's
Now, Universe
into,
Clothing is actually going to be the sponsor, right? The main sponsor for the Moscone Cup of the U.S.
That's what I
team,
heard.
believe.
They're gonna be
In
the
fact,
clothing sponsor for.
for the Moscone Cup.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But I would really love to see the team concept, because I'm going to tell you something. When we were reigning champions of the Moscone Cup the last time, we won a few championships.
Yeah, I
strung
believe
a
we had
few.
it 5 times in a row, if I'm not
And-
mistaken.
correct.
And now Europe has it 5 or 6 times in a row,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken.
But believe it or not, Earl Strickland was the captain them 5 times in a row, because he knew, as unorthodox as he speaks to his fellow players sometimes, that what matchup went with what. And, you know, it takes not only a brilliant player to play against a certain matchup, but at the same time to have a captain that knows who can attack who at what given point in a Moscone Cup.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's like any other sport. You know, football, you know, and baseball, and what pitch are you going to put in?
Correct.
And,
Correct.
and all that
It's all about
technology
the madness.
and whatever you can think of that you can use in your offense and still control your defense is large. And we're going to need it. You know, Jeremy said they believe they have the opportunity to take that cup back. And I have to agree with him 100%. I mean,
Absolutely.
they're young guns going into another land where the crowd is enormous and loud. But I think these young guns are seasoned enough to do it.
Absolutely,
You know?
and the thing is, they have heart. They have
Yeah,
heart.
they have the heart.
They know they have nothing
Mark
to
Wilson
lose
knows
because
that, 100%,
we're already
yeah.
expected to lose.
Right.
So going in there, that would be the best element of surprise for us.
Right.
These young guns standing up to these seasoned European players and
Right.
letting them know that, hey, we're not going away.
Oh,
know?
yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's going to be exciting. That much I can say. And I wish Barry Hearn and everybody out there at Sky Sports and Moscone Cup coming up,
Well, Johnny Archer just missed a safe that John Morra played on him.
that it's going to be an exciting one. And when I mean that the crowd is rowdy, I mean it's popular to be loud. But I know for a fact from past Moscone Cup teams in the USA that they said the fans are so warm and welcoming after everything is over, win or lose.
Correct.
They really have a great time with the fans, you know,
Well,
whether
them
it be
fans
going out to
over
a
there,
party,
yeah.
you know, the after party. They said the fans are really, really great. But I love the enthusiasm of the crowd.
Oh, their
We need that.
Yeah, their
you know?
intensity is like so deep over there.
Yeah.
It's like when Earl Strickland told me when he went to the Philippines and he played Efren, and he beat Efren on national television in the Philippines, even though Efren got the best of him in long-term matches. I think Efren leads 4-3 or 5-3 or whatever in lifetime, meetings between the two. But he says, when you go to the Philippines and you play Efren Reyes, the first thing you do when you get off the plane is you see a big Efren Reyes billboard with his face on it. I mean, he's a national hero. And he says, when you run out of rack over there, nobody claps for you. Nobody claps when you make a nice shot. They all stay quiet. And they only root for their hometown. And he says that is what fueled him to beat Efren in the Philippines on national
He is popular,
television.
that's without a doubt. Sometimes, in fact, it still does happen where it might have to call up for some technical help on an issue with a computer. Majority of the times, you get somebody in a foreign land.
Correct.
And I always say, hey, where are you actually located? And a lot of times they are in the Manila area in the Philippines.
Correct.
And I said, hey, I got a couple of friends over there, so you better steer me the right way. And then, oh, yeah, what friends? And all you got to do is say Bata or the Magician or Efren Reyes,
Right.
Bustamante. Wow,
Right.
you know them? Yeah, so you better
Busta,
make sure
yeah.
you do the right thing.
Correct. Correct.
So they're well known.
Well, especially Efren, because, not only has he been probably one of the best ambassadors for the game of pool worldwide, but he's a family man.
Yes.
And everybody in the Philippines respects that.
He did
Yeah.
quite a lot of help in the Philippines when they had the mudslides and stuff like that, and hurricanes, tornadoes. He came
Absolutely.
through like red, white, and blue.
Yes, he did. And so did that, not trying to get off the sport, but so did that boxer from the Philippines, Manny,
Oh, yeah. Chow or something.
Pacquiao.
There you go.
Right?
Pacquiao.
He beat a guy, and he donated his whole purse to help his fellow people.
Yeah.
And I thought, I always applaud any humanitarian effort.
And it's not like a tax write-off.
Correct.
Not over there. Like here,
Correct.
you can
Correct.
create a tax
Correct.
write-off.
Correct.
It's all done.
Correct.
At the
He
heart.
paid his taxes, and he gave the rest to
Right.
help his people out.
Right. Good stories, and it doesn't have to be whether it's about pool. It's about humanity in general.
Well, anyways, John Morra got out after that safe that he played on Johnny, and we're down to Scorpion 4 and Johnny Morra 2. He's a up-and-coming player, Al. I had the pleasure of speaking to him earlier.
We
today.
both know him for years. We both know him. Hey, John, how are you? Pass
Right.
by, and I was saying that before, but I actually had the opportunity. I was telling the audience in the match prior to this. I actually had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation, and not only with John, but there was like 4 or 5 of us there, and John and I were kind of just shooting it back and forth. And very respectful young man, handles himself real well around the crowd, very friendly. Really nice kid all around. His mother and father were champions.
Well, it's funny that, you were telling me about the stuff with and telling people that are listening to us now about the cues. So we're having a conversation, and he was telling me how, and I won't mention product names,
Right,
but
right.
how he plays with a certain type of shaft. And I told him, he says, so Ed, what's your take on it? I says, well, look, there's manufacturers that make these low deflection shafts, and you have about 5 or 6 of them. Okay, but the reason they did that to start with was because during the 90s and the early 2000s, as you know, Al, the pool industry was making a lot of cues. There was up and coming cue makers, and they couldn't keep up with the demand with good shaft wood. So here stepped in people like OB, Predator, and certain manufacturers, Tiger, and started making these low deflection shafts. But what stayed over time is a good seasoned wood shaft that's got maybe, and you people out there who are listening to me and know about shaft wood, it's got anywhere between 16 and 24 growth rings. And if you look at the shaft wood, the grain is tight, and the growth rings, it makes it look like a naturally laminated shaft.
Right.
There's nothing good like a live shaft like that, and it'll outplay any shaft. So now that due to the economic factors that we've had in this country lately and stuff, people are getting back to playing with better shaft wood. So tomorrow when I come back, or let's say later on today, because it's now early morning
It's
here.
now 12:49 a.m. on the East Coast.
I'll be bringing John Morra a couple of shafts to try, because he wants to see. The kid actually wants me to show him what a good shaft looks like and how it plays and stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what. I played a lot of three cushion billiards, and as you know, the ball heavier, power to get around the table twice. When you pick up a Helmstetter or something, and the shaft is just so solid, wood to wood joint. Like it's one piece of wood when you put it together.
Right.
Very low deflection. I mean,
Yeah.
very low. And
especially the ones Richard Helmstetter designed.
I mean. Before he went mess.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Absolutely. So, the concept for this low deflection shafts came about. The market's taken off on it. God bless everybody in it. And the way you just explained it, of course, when you got more rings and grains are just put together almost like crazy glue, married together, it's going to make it stronger. Mm-hmm. Gotta agree. More solid hit. Then they're coming up with these balance right.
Yeah.
Joints
the little extension that goes between the joint and the end of the shaft. Yeah.
Earl Strickland, I think, has a lot to do with this.
Absolutely. Well, because he learned. Everybody wonders why he can play with this Galassi cue that has 1 million extensions on it.
70 inches long.
Right. Exactly. But I'll tell you what's been taken off lately, Al, in the last couple of years when it comes to shaft wood. In the Great Lakes, back about 7 or 8 years ago.
Oh, God, are we going to go into the lakes and dig up these logs?
Well, they're digging up these sunken ships.
Okay.
They call it sunken lake wood, shafts made out of sunken ship wood.
Right.
Well, that wood's already been seasoned. It's been sitting underwater for who knows how long.
Ice cold, too, yeah.
And you know what? Once it's dried out, it's making pretty good shaft wood.
And expensive woods, too.
Absolutely.
They sell for thousands and thousands of dollars when they find some of these logs under the water. It's incredible. You could become a millionaire overnight.
Correct.
It's unbelievable.
And now they
find good rosewoods or something.
Yeah. Now they found something else. They found out something else. As we already know that, I don't know if you're green and you know what I mean by green, like try to ecologically not, waste stuff. Like energy and this and that.
To a certain extent, yeah. But I kind of take things for granted.
Right.
Yeah,
well, I try to be green.
Right.
I try to recycle. I just try to recycle, and do the right things.
Yeah. Recycle, of course.
Okay, so now what somebody discovered by mistake, and it was a mistake, was that when the government now or, the environmental people say, all right, you have to cut down these trees because they're too old and they're, they can endanger somebody's life. They can fall on your house or whatever and damage electrical wires, whatever
the case may be. Yeah, go ahead.
They're coming up with this old growth wood now, and these come from old trees, and them shafts hit dead nuts, Al. I mean,
Really?
They really hit.
This is kind of
good.
deep, folks. I hope you're enjoying this education.
And if you see these shafts, they're not these maple white, clear, beautiful shafts. They're this ugly brown wood, but a good player can spot them from anywhere.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was at this other room before I came here today, and I had a cue, and I ran into a friend of mine I haven't seen in about 10 years, and the minute he saw this cue that I had with these two old growth shafts, he says, "Eddie, I'll take it." He didn't even ask what was I asking for it or whatever.
He
spotted it right out,
Yeah,
and he said, "I'll take it."
Yeah.
And there was another guy who came over who's also a friend of ours. He says, "And if he don't, I will." Because, like I said, not to toot my own horn, but I always look
it's okay to do it, Ed. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not many people that know too much about the woods and the sticks than you did. I got that reputation from you through word of mouth many a time. Many a time.
Yeah, so I just try, like I said, my main cue line is Felipe cues, and I'll tell you something, Al. Richard Felipe out of Pasadena, Maryland, which is right outside of Baltimore, has always made a player's cue. He could have always jacked up his prices when all these other cue makers were demanding higher prices for good playable cues, but he's kept them stable. But the one thing about his cues over anybody else's cues, and don't get me wrong, Al, I work with young cue makers as well as master cue makers. That I love about his cues is that not only do they play well, but he has a lifetime warranty on warpage on the most important part of the cue, which is the handle. You find a cue made by him that he actually made, and if you bought it on eBay or you bought it anywhere, and you say, "Hey, Richard," or you talk to his son Rick, who runs the shop, say, "Listen, I got this thing, and I don't know why the handles work." He'll tell you, "Send it to me, and I'll fix it at no charge."
Wow, that's strong.
I don't know how many cue makers
That's
do
pretty
that
strong
today.
That's strong.
And he makes a very good playing cue, very reasonably priced. So,
Talking about playing cues, we definitely want to thank some of our sponsors. Gotham City Technologies, Ron Mason, that's the IT guy to go to. Building websites, hosting websites, hooking up networks. Lacassi Hybrid, Lacassi Custom Cues. FA Clothing Line, the official clothing for the Steinway Classic. Ryan Russell and his young son, we call him Little Focus, have a booth here along with Jeanette Lee. Jeanette Lee has her booth set up also. We'll have memorabilia, cue balls and pitches and everything that she possibly could bring with her in one shot. Is also here at Steinway, so if you want to pass by and see Jeanette and see some of her articles in magazines that she has pictures of, she's got them up there for sale, so come on by. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, Eddie. I'm sure it goes deep, and if anybody's going to know about all the different kind of woods and the grains, I know you do.
Well, I just, like I said, Al, I try to get into the intricacies of cues. Unfortunately, because of my back injury, I could never attain I could never become the player that I wanted to be, but I still play. But you know what? I've got a lot of knowledge and stuff to give to the game and players. And I told my wife, I have to pass it on. I can't keep it.
You're right. When many, many years ago, or anything.
Nobody wanted to tell you anything. Remember that, Al?
Well, anything was kept a secret,
right,
because that was part of your arsenal.
Exactly.
You know? But as you tend to get up there in age, you want to pass it along because, like you said, you can't take it with you.
Absolutely.
You can pass it along.
Absolutely. I remember when I stepped into a pool hall and I was 11, 12 years old. Oh, Mister, could you teach me something? And Steve Miserak says to me, well, you want me to teach you? He says, get up and play. He says, I'll teach you. You're a kid. Play me a couple of bucks a game. But you got to get up here and play. That's the only way I'm going to teach you anything. And the only way you're going to learn is by watching me.
Well, he said to me, he says, you want to become a good pool player. He says, first of all, you don't have any girlfriend. You can forget about that. He says, second of all, if you happen to have any money in your pocket right now, just take it and give it to me. He says, and then when you got to eat lunch this afternoon, he says, go over there and make it on the table. He says, and when you got to eat dinner, go over there and earn it on the table.
That's right. That's right.
And that's the school of hard knocks.
That's right.
You know, but that'll get you seasoned, boy.
Yeah, and quickly. And quickly. But that's the other thing, the other part of this game today that as Johnny Archer pushes out, and Johnny Archer is up 5-2 in this match.
And John Morra is taking a break, so we're just going to be standing by for a little while as we watch the Scorpion sitting down in his chair. Looks like Jason Shore is up at the table. Maybe we could swing over that way for a little while. There's Jeremy Sophie sitting down here in this chair. And looks like Jason Shore tried to kick safe and get the cue ball between the 7-8 after kicking the 6-down table, but I don't think he quite got there. And the score on that match there is
6-3.
6-3. Do you know if Jason?
No, I don't know exactly.
We can ask Alaska, who happens to be sitting right in front of us. That Jeremy Sosi match and Jason Shore, who's up? Jason Shore is up. Thank you, Sean. So there we have confirmation.
And it's
6-3, right?
And it's odd that we're talking about how he's playing against Jason Shaw, and people were saying, well, you know, this guy's playing lights out. He just beat Van Boning, and he beat Van Boning 9-6. Now he loses a tough one to Warren Kiamko, and he finds himself stuck down 6-3. That's how clearly, Al, in this tournament right now, there's no clear front runner, is there, to win this thing,
well,
right?
you know, I happen to be sitting outside getting a little fresh air myself, you know, and taking a break and letting other people sit in. And Jeremy Sosi had come out, and he says, I got to walk. He says, I got to take a walk. He says, I feel like I'm going to fall asleep. And he wanted to get some fresh air. So, in all credit and I'm not taking anything away from Jason Shaw. We all know he could shoot, but just to let everybody know, Jeremy Sosi said he was a little tired.
A little fatigued.
Yeah.
It's a long day, and he came in from Connecticut.
Yeah. And Jason said that's good enough.
Yeah.
So the score now is 6-4. He's not out of it.
No,
you know,
not quite.
John Morra is coming back to the feature table, and we're going to swing back over.
Yeah, let's not forget Jeremy Sosi was losing Shane Van Boning 3-0, and then he strung like 5 straight games on him. So by far that match is, I believe it's not over with in any form or fashion. Plays a safety.
The speed was too much. The cue ball escaped the 4.
Yes, it did.
Now Johnny can actually back cut this one ball into the side pocket and hold the cue ball with the 5. In other words, it's going to hit the 5, come off the long rail to the right, and the cue ball deflect back across table for the 3. Watch the shot. If he's got that angle to back cut this in. He's just going to feather the inside.
I believe he's going to play a safety, but I might be wrong, Al. You're pretty more experienced at me than this, but yeah,
right.
That's what I thought. He was going to play the safety because they had
I'm
a
not
natural.
wrong too many times, Eddie, but you happen to call that one right.
I mean, I just happen to see the angle of the safety, and
from here I shoot pretty good.
When you're playing these guys day in, day out like I do when I come to Steinway, well, you learn that unless you're sure to be out or the shot's not in your arsenal, you duck.
You got that right.
And let's face it, I mean, so far this match, the Scorpion has played a pretty good tactical game with this kid. He's not letting him really, get on a string of anything.
Hey, you know, this is a B-side match, you know.
Yeah.
This is when these players are more dangerous.
Correct. You know? Correct. And they're also more tactical, more deliberate.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's all the dangerous parts about it.
Yeah.
And here he comes out with the pogo stick.
Yep.
Johnny Morra going to the air here. I don't know if he called a 10 or not.
I think he's going to play safe, if I'm correct, because I didn't see him call anything. So, that's right. He stuck the landing, and hopefully. Well, might have left Johnny an out because Johnny can see the whole ball.
Left him a straight pull break shot right here. A little high on it, but he can do it.
And he's calling it in the corner. Oh.
Missed that by half a diamond.
And that was very uncharacteristic of him this match because he hasn't missed many balls this match.
You know, fatigue could be setting in for everybody at this point. You know,
Absolutely.
It's 1 o'clock a.m. on the East Coast, and these players were here in the room by 11 o'clock this morning. So, you know, it's a long day, and some of them were here earlier than that eating breakfast.
Let me ask you a question, Al.
Just one.
Something that just came up. Something that just came up that it just occurred to me. Since basically the Mosconi Cup has always been between Britain or, you know, the
England,
Europeans against the Americans.
Supposed to be England, but, you know.
Right. But
a
they
mix,
let
like here.
they let other people in,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Are we also allowing some of the good Canadian players like John Morra? Is he going to be able to play on our team, or what do you know about that?
I dwelled on this. I dwelled on it because you do have players that reside here.
Okay.
You know, like Mika, who actually plays for Team Europe, who
Correct.
actually resides here in New York.
Correct.
And you know, that's always been up in the air with, I guess, everybody besides ourselves, of why that does happen. In other words, I don't think there's actually a ruling that says, hey, you have to live in this country to play for this country, you know. It's just a matter of strategically putting people together like Mark Wilson is doing.
Correct.
You know, but Mark Wilson picks the young guns. They're all living in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so. John Morra puts another one on the board. That's something that I dwelled on.
And I would love to see him play for North America or Team USA because I think he would definitely be an asset to our team.
Yeah, without a doubt. But he is Canadian through, you know.
Yeah, he lives in Toronto. He doesn't really care for Canada except Toronto. He told me himself he loves Toronto.
We don't want to get him in trouble. He might have said something like that.
No,
he's going to go home to a welcoming party now.
He just says he doesn't really delve far from his, from where he lives.
Just Providence,
He's good.
Well, everything up in Canada is hours away.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to go to another Providence. You could be 6 hours, 7 hours away from there, you know, and he travels a lot.
And believe me, I know because back in the 90s, I was a tour guide. And, bus driver tell me, well, today we're bringing a group to when I first started, of course, and I was learning northern Canada on the east side, which is just basically Ontario.
Right.
Okay. And I saw, and they would tell me, like, we're going to Toronto, and we would be leaving Montreal. So I said, that's only a couple of hours away, right? He says, no. He says, we're leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll be in Toronto by 4 in the afternoon. So it was like an 8-hour day. So I know exactly what you're saying when you say it's a big place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually, I'm talking to somebody via FaceTime, which I very rarely do. In fact, she showed me how to use it. Who actually is going to do some streaming, that wants to do some streaming up in Canada. Her name is Edwige. A lot of people know her. She's always on the streams. She's starting a tour in Canada, and she really wants to put a stream together so that she can stream her tour at all the events, when she has them. Edwige Kavanaugh is her name. She's on Facebook, and she's really serious about getting everything started together. And she was just asking me a couple of technical questions, like, what do you think about this, and what should I use to stream? And I could see it, because using FaceTime, you actually see the people that you're talking to. It's like you talk right through the computer or your phone, and there's the person.
Correct.
And you could see it in her eyes that she wants to go out and do this. And I wish her a lot of luck. And she's probably watching. She's a
Good.
great pool fan, yeah. Yeah. And she's up in the Canada area.
Well, I'll tell you, Al, I've been to Canada a few times. I've brought my family there, and I love it up there. The people are just so nice and friendly. Great food, great ambiance. I mean, it's the first place I've ever been to, especially the city of Toronto. And not saying the other cities are bad, but where the police, if you're in a situation where you're parked in a place too long or whatever, they come up to you and they don't say move it. They're actually nice about it, and they tell you where you can go, where nobody will bother you, and you ask them no matter what, anything.
Sort of like what they do in New York City here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're very, very, very nice people up there, and
Whip, whip, get the car out of the way.
right, exactly. But they're very nice people up there, and I kind of like.
That's
I was
nice.
amazed by that, and the other thing that I was amazed, if you go to Quebec, them people frown at you if you throw a bubble gum wrapper on the streets, because they
Wow,
actually,
that's cool.
yeah, their cleanliness is like you
Top notch, huh?
top notch, yeah. So Canada's a beautiful place. They have good food, good.
That's
everything.
what Johnny was saying. Johnny said the food is excellent.
Oh, excellent,
Yeah.
excellent food, excellent food. And if you go up there like now, at this time of the year, oh my God, it's like 85 degrees and dry. I mean, beautiful, just beautiful dead nuts, beautiful weather.
Right?
Yeah, good stuff.
And it's always a pleasure to see John and his father Mario, when they come to tournaments. It's nice to see that father and son relationship involved in the same sport, along with Oscar. And
Did his dad come this
no,
time?
I didn't see Mario. He's not here.
Okay.
But then you got Oscar, right? And
Oscar and his father, yeah.
Ernesto.
And not only that, I don't know if a lot of people know out west that Oscar and his father also are table mechanics.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They, they recloth tables. They're probably one of the best in the business.
They
do
did
good
Hard
work.
Times recently. They had a nice tournament out there.
Okay.
Daniel Bush streamed it. They do quite a few rooms, let's put it that way, out there on
Yeah.
the West Coast.
Well, they even, believe it or not, they do Society Billiards in Manhattan.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
because Society Billiards is, I don't know what the deal was, how they worked it out. There was this partial sponsorship for the younger one, and
For Oscar?
yes, and they actually.
Oh, that must have been Nicky Schulman that put that
Yeah,
together.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and
So that's why Oscar would. Oh, yeah, I remember there was a match that took place down there, too. I remember
Right,
that
yeah.
last year or a year and a half ago.
right.
Yeah.
So they actually, they have a pretty strong connection when it comes to at least one of the pool halls here in New York.
Well, you know what? Pool rooms are jumping in New York City, but the one we're sitting in right now is taking the cake. This pool room is
Oh,
taking the
absolutely.
cake.
I mean, where else, Al? I mean, look at this place. It's it's
1:00.
1:11 in the morning, and just about every table is taken.
Yeah. And the crowd is still
Right.
2 and 3 people, 4 people deep along the rail.
Absolutely.
As John Morra puts up another beat on his side, and now trails by 1, but he now has 4 games, 5-4.
5-4. It could be the youth factor.
And just some of the pitches, folks, of some of the players that are actually playing in this tournament, and if they're not in this tournament, they will be playing in the 14.1 tournament, like Darren Appleton. You see him there on the. Most of the other players are here today. Excuse me. And here's another picture of Brandon Schuff. Actually, Ralph Eckert did not play in the 10 ball, but he was here in the pool room. Did he play in the 10 ball?
Who?
Ralph Eckert.
I don't think so.
I know I see him with his cue in his hand. Okay, maybe he didn't play in the.
Maybe he's here for the straight pool
He is.
tournament.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. And what a professor he is when it comes to commentating.
Well,
man, he can really diagnose and the shot to the tee. I
Really?
love having him.
Yeah.
I call him James Bond.
okay.
007.
Well, I was just before I came into the booth here with you, Al. I was speaking with John Smith,
Yeah.
John Schmidt, Mr. 400, and we've become friends over the years, and he was really ticked off about how players had were breaking and making 2 or 3 balls on their break, and he wasn't coming, and he was coming up dry on his breaks. And then I asked him because we're friends, and I felt like I could earnestly say, ask him the legitimate question, and I says, well, honestly, John, and I know you for years, and I know how you play. Have you been practicing your 10 ball break? Because that's huge. He says, Eddie, you're right. He says, it's huge, and to my fault, I haven't been practicing. And I says, and the other thing is, I'm looking for you to take and win or place in the top 2 of the straight pool tournament. He says, well, why do you say that? I says, because when you've stayed away for a while and you haven't played in a while, it's something about the hunger that comes back in you that you come back and play strong.
Seen it happen many a time.
Absolutely, and with him especially. So you're due.
Yeah.
He says, please thank me for the words of encouragement, and I says, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I talked to John this morning, or was it last night or yesterday morning? I don't know. I'm all misconstrued. Oh, it was yesterday when we were watching the Shane match, or maybe it was the morning before. I don't know. Anyway, and John, the mechanic that does the tables here, he's been doing
John K.
Been doing tables for 42 years. I think
Correct.
I know him probably 30 out of those.
Right.
John mentioned somebody's name out on the West Coast that he actually did a table for him. Now I'm talking about John the mechanic, and we were talking with John Schmidt, and John says, you know what, it's funny that you mentioned that. He said, I happen to play on that table, and it's an excellent table. Something about 3-inch rails on it. I forget the name of the table. Really beautiful table.
Okay, and John Morra runs out again. Now it's a tie game, ladies and gentlemen.
So John Schmidt got up there on the table, and he ran a 100 a couple of times on that table. So, you know what? He doesn't need a 10-ball break in straight pool. You know what I mean? All he has to do is get there and get the patterns. We know he can get out. So, yeah. Hey, he's one of the favorites, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Look with Darren Appleton. I don't know if you were here last year. Darren Appleton actually got the record for the run of 200, and then he stopped.
Right.
Because he wanted to save some of his energy for his next match. But he could have kept going. He was in a position to keep going.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, it's like, I remember the year, I believe it was the year after John Schmidt won his U.S. Open title. I'm not sure if it was that year or the year after, but I walk into Barry Berman's pool hall because when I go down there, I like to watch the action in his pool hall. And for those of you listeners out there who've never been, you have to go to this pool hall if you ever get the chance to go to the U.S. Open. It's called Q Masters.
Yeah, been a bunch of times.
Gorgeous. I mean, he's actually expanded it. He's got like
I haven't seen it in the last couple of years, but I've been down in it.
Well, now he still has like 25 bar boxes and about 59 footers, and up to the 50, about 40 of them are diamonds, and he's got a diamond players room where you can actually go sit and watch action matches.
Nice.
And during the week of the U.S. Open, he's open 24 hours. But anyway, getting back to the original part of the story, was that I walk in the room with a friend of mine, and he had never been down there. And I says, you got to watch this guy play. And he looks and he says, oh, yeah, I know that guy. It's Mr. 400. And lo and behold, the guy's just practicing, and he says, and John says, Eddie, I'm just going to hit him around, see what I could do with the straight pull thing.
Yeah.
And then we ended up sitting there for 3 hours while John slowly ran 419 balls on a
Wow.
on a diamond table, just practicing.
On a diamond table. How hard is that to do on a diamond table?
Well, you know, for all of you folks out there who don't know, them diamond tables are 4.5-inch pro cuts. And you can't slop anything in.
That's right. You got to earn them.
That's right. So
that's a nice sight to see.
Absolutely, and I expect, John to do big things in the tournament because he hasn't won in a while. I mean, not taking anything away from Holman and the others who are coming because, they're also great.
Holman, I believe, won it 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 consecutive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
the last 2.
Yeah. Well, I expect another good week of pool.
Yeah. You need a rail here. Watch.
And it got it.
You got it.
Oh, great.
We got Jim Rempe coming into town.
Yeah.
Being inducted into the
Absolutely
14.1 Hall of Fame.
King James himself.
Yeah. Haven't seen him in.
Oh, I haven't seen him in
I know
at
he
least
has back problems.
10 or 15 years.
Last time I saw him was out in Pompton Lakes at Carmen Lombardo's place out there.
Crown Billiards.
Crown Billiards upstairs, yeah. The last time I saw Jimmy. In fact, he was matching up with Frankie Hernandez.
Okay.
Jimmy was on his way over to Europe somewhere. He was going to play in some, I forget what it was called. It was a major event, and he wanted some good, hard practice. And Frankie went out there to play him, cheap, a few hundred a game. And they wound up deciding to play the last pocket 8 ball. And Frankie won the flip, and Frankie got up there and leg broke. He's not going to go up there and smash him apart. And Jimmy said, hey, what are you doing? Frankie says, playing last pocket 8 ball, why? Jimmy says, yeah, but you just leg broke? You didn't want to smash him apart? Frankie says, are you going to tell me how to gamble for my money? Jimmy says, no. He said, but I want to play some aggressive pool because I got to go over to Europe and play in a major tournament. I want to get in shape. Anyway, the game never took place. After that, it was just squashed.
Right.
And that was that.
Yeah.
That was the last time I saw him, and that was quite a while. Yeah. Might have been 10, 15 years ago.
I'll tell you a story about a quick story. While John Morra is eyeing up the shot, he got a pretty good leave out of that safety that he played Johnny, and now he's looking at 3 balls tied up on the side to see how he's going to get to that 6 when he gets to the 5. And he should draw it back a little bit off the rail, just like that. And what do you think, Al, here? You think he's just going to play the 5 and play safety on the 6, or he's going to actually try to come back and play the combination?
It looks like he's eyeing up the combination. He's got the opportunity to knock the 6 out 3 rails if he can get past the 7 and leave the cue there. If the 7's that far away from the 9, we're going to find out right here. He's playing the combination.
Yep, he's going for the combination. But anyways, getting back to the story, West End Billiards in Elizabeth.
Sure.
I just happened to be there the night that, to me, the greatest road player I've ever seen in my life, a guy named Toby Sweet.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody in our community knows who knows.
I believe he was in Florida for a while. I seen him up in Westchester County. And George the Greek from up in High Pockets when they had it up there with the Governor Tommy was up there and Mickey, they all used to work up there in George's place. Toby Sweets came walking in and just started banging racks of 9 ball and got action like in a heartbeat. I got news for you. Some of these people that walked in the door had no clue who they were playing. They were playing a real tough player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just want to say I love you, Big Al.
We got Naldo hanging
We have Naldo hanging out. Go back to Alice and Naldo.
He's giving me a massage.
Johnny earlier, pal. My buddy. Alright. Hey, love you for all the work you do, man.
Anytime, bro.
Oh, God, I love you.
This guy's got me turning red over here, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we're having fun here at Steinway, folks.
Naldo's a good guy.
He sure is.
New York City policeman,
Yes, he
but
is.
very avid fan of pool and a pretty decent player.
And fun to be around.
And John Morra has turned this match around, ladies and gentlemen. He was down 5-2 at one point, and now it's 6-5 John Morra.
How do you like this now?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if I was Johnny, I would take a break right now. And,
Absolutely.
Get a little breath of fresh air.
So anyway, so getting back to the story, Al, with Toby
Yeah,
Sweet.
Toby Sweet, yeah.
So he matches up with some guy who's from South Carolina. Well, nobody knew who he was. He was supposed to be a good player because people from the Carolinas, they come up to West End. Well, they got to be able to have some kind of game.
Yeah, they got the word.
So they settle on a, set thing where they're playing sets. I think it was races to 7 for 500. And Toby Sweet beats the guy like 4 sets. And the guy, no matter what he does, he can't win a game. Or he's winning, he wins a few games, but, Toby Sweet's getting the best of him, obviously, as good as he was. And he says, listen, Mr. Sweet, I know you don't know me, but I need a little weight because, I'm not getting anything off you. He says, well, how can I give you weight if I haven't seen you shoot yet?
That goes back to the Zuglin Siegel. Remember that Zuglin Siegel
Yeah,
quote?
yeah.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, when Siegel
150
ran 150 and out on him.
How can I spot you anything when I never seen you play?
Exactly. But that's what a great rope player Toby Sweet was, and to his credit, he took his money, invested it in pool halls, and made them lucrative businesses, and actually sold them for profit. And people he sold them to were happy with the establishments that they received.
That's good.
And the guy. Last I heard of him, he still has maybe one. He's in Florida. He still plays, but of course he doesn't travel anymore. But the thing was that when you seen him traveling, he's always showed up in his beautiful white Cadillac with the side walls and his bell bottoms and a toothpick
I don't know what he was
in his
driving
mouth.
many years ago when I saw
Yeah,
him.
he always had a Cadillac and a toothpick in his mouth. He was known for that.
But when you walked in, if you didn't know Toby Sweets, you wouldn't recognize him. Let's put
No,
it that way.
absolutely.
You wouldn't recognize him as a player.
Right.
That's what I mean. And boy, can he swing a stick.
Yeah.
And George the Greek at the time always, I'm not going to say always, majority of the time would have 10 grand in his money belt. And he was ready for anybody to come in the door that wanted to bet.
And John Morra places a perfectly safe 6. Great speed, down to the bottom rail.
Johnny called the upper left-hand corner.
He's going to try to come off the edge of the side pocket, the upper edge, with a little bit of inside English, so it grabs, and wow, he hit it so good.
And keep in mind, these are 4.5-inch pockets, not pro cuts, but they're 4.5-inch.
And absolutely, John Morra is going to give him the shot back because in 10 ball, ladies and gentlemen, in this format here that we're having here, not international 10 ball, but the format they have, the Predator Tour format, if you call a shot.
And call safety.
And it's called shot, call safety. So if you call a shot and you fail to pocket it and you safe your other player, well, he can give it back to you.
It kind of takes the two-way shot out of
the equation. Yes, sir.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's not a point that he can't hit it. Johnny knows he can hit it. He's looking at it if he can hit it and play safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he missed it right into the corner pocket. I'm gonna let Snooker, Snooky, sit in with you a little bit, Eddie, and I'm gonna step out. I gotta go outside and move my car. And Snooky will sit in with you a little bit. And thanks for sitting on board. And
no problem.
Snookster's gonna sit in, guys. So stand by.
Hey, Snook.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome back, Snooky.
Thank you, thank you.
And we have Snooky, a local player from Steinway, back with us online here. And I don't know if you've been following this match, Snooky, but the Scorpion took it off pretty early. He was ahead 4-2 and then 5-2, and just a couple of minor bad rolls and a couple of simple mistakes by Mr. Archer, and Mr. Morra has taken
Command over that.
command back of this thing. It was, I believe it was 5-2 or 5-3 at one point, and now it's 6-5, Mr. Morra. And after playing a dead safe, get to Johnny. Johnny did hit the ball, but then he ended up safing himself again. And as Al and I were saying before, in this format, it's call shot, call save. So
He overshot this ball.
he did.
Wow.
He did.
Wow.
He did. But if I'm looking at the layout correctly, Snooky, I think he's going to probably, if he can't make this 5, he's really eyeing it up. If he can't make this 5, he's going to play the safety to the center of the table.
Right. He's just going to bank that to the short rail
I-
and the cue ball around.
Yeah. Well, let's see what he does here, because he looks like he's shooting at it.
Yeah,
Yep, he had
did.
enough room to get it. Nice shot.
Yeah, if he didn't, I would have imagined that he would have just banked that 5 up to the short rail and swung the cue ball around towards or somewhere between the 10 and 8. That would have been a safety option at that point, avoiding the 6, of course. But since he was able to make that 5, has a very nice shot on the 6. And he
Rolls it over.
yeah,
Let's see if he's got enough speed to get on the 8, and he does.
just flirting with those.
He was flirting with danger there, because if he ran into that 10, he would have been in trouble. Spins it off the rail. Comes and gets natural position for the 9. Probably going to just float the 9 up into the corner pocket with a little stun, come back out off the rail just enough to get almost dead straight on the 10, and try to run this rack out for a 7-5 lead. That he does.
I must say, I'm very impressed with the way John has been carrying himself the last 2 matches. I wasn't here earlier, so I don't know how he did the rest of the day, but obviously, being that he's still in the tournament, he must have been doing well. However, from what I've seen now, I see that he's doing, like I said, he's doing really, really well. So let me just change the score for a minute.
Yeah, it is now 7-5, ladies and gentlemen. John Morra over John Archer. Morra's kind of taking control of this match.
He seems to be doing what he's supposed to, and that's capitalizing on the opponent's mistakes. So,
Well, not only that, he's played a couple of dead safes where, in the
Very
last
important.
2-3 games where he's locked up Johnny pretty good, and Johnny hasn't been able to either hit him right or run out. And the way this kid is playing, that's all you need to do with him. I mean, if he beat the #1 player in the world, Van Boning, at a nail-biting hill match, well, just shows you how strong this field is.
right.
And speaking of strong fields, Snooky, what do you think about our local player, George Rodriguez, playing for the hot seat match tomorrow?
I think that that's fantastic.
Isn't it great?
I think it's fantastic, especially because we're talking about the caliber of players that are here. We're talking about world beaters, and it just goes to show you, because I mentioned this earlier. they have to make the same 10 balls as your opponent.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, perhaps, you know, I can't even say perhaps. Yes, some will make them more consistently. Some, can string packages together and things like that. But when you see, especially since, he's out of my homeroom, and I'm always a fan of cheering for my boys. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's
Absolutely.
a good friend of mine, and I've enjoyed watching him play throughout the years, and seeing him get better throughout the years. And so I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And I'll be honest with you, Snooki. I play out of this room also, and just watching how much his game has matured in the last 2 years since Earl Strickland showed up on the scene, and
Right.
Zion, and
Right.
strong players, and him battling with them, day in, day out.
Absolutely.
Even gambling with people, giving them, a lot of weight more than what he
Right.
should.
He's just pushing himself.
Yeah.
He pushes himself,
So
and
he's-
I think that it does not go unnoticed. Of course, most people would say, well, on paper, he's not one of the favorites. Well,
Correct.
okay, being as it may, he may not be the one of the favorites, but guess what? Look where he's at. And like I said, he's a friend of mine. He's my boy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to
Absolutely.
know that that's where he is right now. And
Absolutely.
I do wish him the best of luck if I'm not here to see it
Yeah,
tomorrow.
me too.
So,
Because he's, like I said, Snooki, his game has come so far. And, to be honest, for you folks out there still with us and listening and watching these matches, this kid is considered just an open player. He's not considered a pro or a top pro, but he battles with the best. He battles with these pros day in, day out.
Right.
And like Snooki says, he pushes himself.
Well, I've
Because
told
he
him.
wants to be good.
I've told him many a times that I admire what he brings to the table, and I don't just mean his caliber of play. I mean that obviously is important because he has to play and does have to run out and has to play safe and do everything that all the dynamics that make up this game. But he's a hungry lion, like a wolf. You know what I'm saying? When he wants to battle, he's prepared to do so.
Wow,
you
John
know.
Morra called a 2 ball in the corner pocket, and it goes in the other corner off a jump. And I believe it's Johnny Archer's turn back at the table.
He's obviously gonna take this and not give it back. And this format would have allowed him, should he have not had a favorable shot at the 3, could have given the table right back to John. But
Correct.
being as it may, he had a great shot at the 3 and a possible run out here.
What do you think about the format between world? I don't know if you know about world 10-ball rules versus
Right.
this rule.
I do. The thing is, this call shot, call safety, about the only thing major that I feel that it eliminates, and a lot of people will automatically think I'm saying like the luck factor. It's not the luck factor. There are times that you play a two-way shot purposely. You'll play a shot like, for instance, let's say you have a possible combo to the 9 or 10, if that's what we're talking about 10 ball here, but we have a combo to the 10, but it could be tricky and you want to play safe just in case you miss it. That thought out safety play versus the actual making the combo, that two-way shot, it's eliminated with this format because you have to either you got to go for your shot or you have to go for a safety. You know what I mean? So it's good because it makes you make a choice, but it does eliminate the fact that you can play calculated two-way shots.
Well, not only that, but the reason I love this format, and I know, and you and I both know that 9 ball's a lucky game, and some
Right.
people like to see the luck factor, which is great.
Absolutely.
Okay, but the thing I love about call shot, call safety, is that for between, player to player, now nobody can ever say, well, he got lucky.
Lucky. Yeah.
There's no luck
They
factor.
still find a way to say that though. You know how that
Yeah,
is.
but
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get lucky if you call a shot. I mean, let's
No,
face
no,
it.
absolutely not. But there'll still be situations where a player feels that they may have gotten lucky. And what I mean by that is not because they had to call the shot or call the safety, but say you got an off angle on the shot and you shoot it and you're going 2 or 3 rails or 4 rails to get to a position, trying to force a cue ball somehow. Where they might get lucky is they might nip another ball and get, dead on position.
Wow, and John Morra just played a great shot.
And
He had
that
to
was
come
very
1,
fantastic.
2, 3 rails back
That-
to the 8 ball.
That was great. He's got the
That was a
perfect
great
angle to
shot.
go up because that
Gonna
9
follow
ball.
it out
Yeah,
just like
'cause
that, right up to the
is
9 ball.
above the side. That's
Just
why.
let me give you a quick update before I step back out of the booth. This is going to be the last match of the morning now, and we will be back at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Just to give you that update, everybody. Thanks, guys, for sitting in. I'm going to step back out.
Okay, thank you. Well, there you have it, folks. We, I don't know if he's going to allow the stream to go on after that, but for now, this is the last match of the evening for the televised portion.
Wow,
of the
and
tournament.
I'm impressed with this kid's demeanor, Snooky, because, down 5-2 to a player of caliber of Johnny Archer. And then just to be able just to have the medal, to just hang in there and grind away.
Right.
He did not only has ground the way back into this match, but he's now in total control. He's on the hill.
He
Johnny
seems
Archer,
very
8-5.
collected at the
Yes.
table too. I mean, I've watched John play, several times in the past. He's from Canada, so we don't get to see him very often here, and I don't get to, other than whatever updates there are worldwide in any tournaments that he's played in. You're never there to watch him play, and I see a grand difference in his game now, and the way he's approaching the table and approaching every rack, and it's very impressive. I saw him outside briefly, and I had to say something. I absolutely, it doesn't go unnoticed, and it's always nice when someone can, tell you, that they can appreciate what they're doing now and things like that. He was quite appreciative of that compliment.
Well, he makes 2 balls on the break, but he doesn't have a shot at the 1 ball. So it would be safe to assume that he's going to look for a position to push out where Archer cannot take advantage with it. Good save.
If he's going to push that right by the side, I agree with that push. It doesn't leave too much. There's not any real danger. I think he might have fallen short.
Well,
I mean, if he
the
did, he left
2 ball, he left just enough for Archer to see just
a hair of that,
right.
what I call paint on a
Correct.
ball. Yeah,
Correct.
but when we're looking at the same angle at the
And
moment.
Archer sees the same thing that you saw, Snooky. He might have come up a little short, so he's giving it back to him.
Right.
So now he's going to the rail to kick it out because he didn't leave enough.
Right. I mean, at this point, he can just tuck it
Oh,
like that. See what I
nice
mean?
Shot. Absolutely.
That's the only thing that he could have done. I just think that Johnny perhaps thought that he may have went too softly with the cue ball and perhaps would have left him something. But that is, I still think that he might have fallen short on that safety, on that push out. I'm sorry, but still left a nice shot. I mean, left a nice safety.
Upstate Al is back.
Yeah, we got to give you another update.
And I have to go back to New Jersey, home.
So
But
am
I'll
I.
be back with you tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Al.
Be a pleasure.
And thank you for having me.
Hey,
in the booth.
anytime. But you don't need an invite on
Absolutely.
AZB TV.
Thanks.
But just to give you guys another update, we have the United States versus Russia tomorrow for the first TV match. It's going to be Eugene Staliv versus Earl Strickland at noon. Just wanted to give you that update also.
So tune in, folks.
Tune in.
You
Absolutely.
have yet to see some of the better. Well, I can't say better because this is all fantastic anyway, but very exciting and well coordinated tournament.
Sorry about that. We're just doing a headphone exchange over here. Eddie has to step out of the booth. He's got to go jogging like Earl. And here we are.
It's me and you once again.
Wow. John Morra on the hill, huh?
Yeah.
He's going to keep in mind, this is a B-side match, so the loser of this will be eliminated out of the tournament. Well, you know what? It's always fun.
You're right.
And even though it's going to be 2 o'clock in the morning, probably 3 by the time I get out of here, it's still fun.
I'm always up at this hour.
Yeah, I have some work to do when I get back also. I got some thumb drives from
Several
a couple of
people,
players
I'm sure.
from
They want
other
their
tournaments,
matches.
and they want their matches. So I got to see if I can do that tonight and just transfer the files over for them.
I should have done that with you for my match.
Yeah.
Alan.
Well, the reason why we didn't post your matches up right away is because of the background music. We didn't want YouTube to silence them, so I gave him a copy to JT, who was going to put them on Vimeo when he gets a chance, but he's like wired. He's up there now like Spider-Man right behind you, hanging on the wall. So we'll definitely get them to you. I have a lot to upload. And it looks like John Morra is about to defeat Johnny Archer and eliminate the Scorpion out of the Steinway Classic. And Johnny Archer says that's good enough.
Wow.
And there you have it. John Morra keeps the stride going, and so does Snooki. And we hate to tell you that that's the last match, but it is. We want to thank you very much, and we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow if you have a chance to stop by, because I'm sure I'm going to be tired.
Oh, okay.
But that's not the
I
only
will
reason
try
I
to make
use
it.
you. I use you for other things too, but we can't let that go out over the air.
You better stop.
We're only
What will
joking. We
people
do joke
say?
around. Look, we've been pals and friends for a long time.
Oh gosh, 20 years.
So,
Probably.
yeah. You
Close
know, I was
to.
just talking to Spanish Pete outside, and I tell you what, he was just telling me how many years went by, and it seems like yesterday. Folks, we want to thank you very much for watching the pay-per-view.
Yeah, guys.
And we look
thank
forward
you.
to seeing you tomorrow. At 12 noon, we'll be up live. And the semifinals and the finals all the way down to the last ball drops in this tournament will be up live for you. And then following that, from the 4th to the 9th, we'll actually be doing the 14.1 Andy Cloth 14.1 World Tournament. So a lot of pool ahead here at Steinway as the crowd starts to disperse and move over to other tables in the room. We are done for tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Snooki.
Thank you very much.